What's going on, guys? I'm Bruce Maxwell. Welcome to another episode of The Backstop. With me today is my co host,
Ollie Jackson.
and we're here with Ryan McFarland. My man, how are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me, fellas.
We appreciate you being on, man. Just to give you guys a little spotlight, Ryan McFarland, he's the co-director of Give and Grow Basketball based out of Baltimore, Maryland. We're going to sit here and talk to him about the mental and the emotional presence that him and his company and him and his foundation present for these children, the youth, and how he trains these kids and practices with these kids about their emotional awareness, their emotional responses, something that's going to carry on with them throughout their adulthood and their own personal lives. My man, Ryan, tell us a little about your day, man. What's going on?
Man, great day here in Baltimore. We actually just solidified two partnerships with local elementary schools, where we're going to be doing before school programming. We had an intern over the summer put together a research paper on the benefits of morning exercise and mental health and academic success. And if you hear a lot of if you're not from Baltimore, you hear how bad Baltimore is, or all the struggles and problems we have over here. But with a lot of problem chatter, we realize that not many people bring solutions to the table. The test scores aren't where they should be, or they're behind in their learning. But it's like, well, who knows what happened to that kid last night or this morning before they got to school, what they ate, before school, if they ate before school. So, really meeting them before school to set the tone, to get those jitters out, get those silly bugs out, what we call them, so that when that bell rings, they could focus in and really just be relaxed and have all that stuff out before they learn. So that was today. But like you guys mentioned, we're giving Grow Basketball. We elevate the mental, emotional, and physical health of youth through basketball. We realized early on that sitting kids down to talk about mental health is just asking for tomatoes to be thrown at us, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, hey, where can we meet the kids where they're at, where they're already inspired? And myself and our co-founder Ben Shakini, we're both hoopers. We actually met in the layup line in Baltimore, like in my first men's league. So we realized that we just, if we can teach it through hoops, these kids are going to buy in. They're going to give everything they got and really learn these mental and emotional skills, man. So in a nutshell, that's us, and I'm just excited to share more as we go.
Yeah, man, that's dope, bro. That's so dope. Shout out to B More. Shout out my boy
Absolutely.
Mello. Shout out Akil Carr. Shout out to
Yep.
some of those B More hoopers. Shout out
Will
to
Barton. Yeah,
Will Barton.
absolutely.
Yeah, my boy. And then my cousin. I've been out to B More. She went to Morgan State. Shout out my cousin Ashley Fox. Got her education out there, and we actually visited and went to the Baltimore Ravens versus Bears game. So shout out to
Hey,
y'all, man.
you're well versed over here, man. You're well versed.
Yeah,
Hell
man.
yeah.
I stepped in the neighborhood a little bit, talked to some of the folks, and it was cool. It's definitely people outside. People are available to talk to them. So if people are trying to reach out and get to these people and talk to them, then they're out there to talk to. The feeling that I did get from Baltimore overall was a little third world at the time, man. This was like 2000, maybe like 16 and or 17, and it was tough to see. Out here in Chicago, some parts of the city, a lot of broken windows, or more boarded up. But here, a lot of busted windows, a lot of already boarded up, and it looks somewhat like a different country does sometimes, like third world countries. And I can see where there will be a lot of disparity there. So shout out to y'all for that. One leading into that, my question was like, what kind of led you? I'm really interested in the fact that you're taking skills training and activity for kids to a different level. I see a lot of skills training being implemented into different neighborhoods and things like that, and people trying to funnel them into AAU and things like that. But when we get down to the nitty gritty and get into that mental health component, I think that's such an interesting and just important, verse of the field. So what led you into that? I know, you met your boy, but like, what about your background? Like, how does it affect you?
Man, so it's a great question, man. And one thing to keep it real, like whether I'm teaching the kids or in a meeting, or there's always that one goosebump moment, right? Like where I'm like, man, like it just hits you, you know what I'm saying? And when you mention, some of the struggles in Baltimore, like that was one of them where it's just like you were there for a short bit and you realized it and you saw it. But when it comes back to the question that you just asked, I mean, it didn't all hit me at once. Like I didn't always know I wanted to be in the mental health space with basketball. My boy Ben had a lot to do with that. But as we were building everything out is when I got to reflect, right? And really got to like, wow, I didn't even know, obviously I didn't know where I would be today, but man, if I had me back then, it'd have been a whole different story. I always had a love for hoops. I mean, Bruce, I played baseball. I was a hell of a shortstop. And then it got hot, man. I was like, I can't be out here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, man.
Keyboard does get hot too.
Yeah, well, let me. And that's a good talking point too. So I'm actually from Reading, PA.
Okay.
Yeah. So my wife, she works at Under Armour headquarters. That's what brought us down here.
Okay, cool.
But I knew I always wanted to. I always had a passion for hoops. Right. My first job was a tot basketball coach where I'm teaching 3-year-olds how to dribble and the fundamentals, man, and really. The amount of parents that said, man, you should teach, or man, you're a great coach. Like you should consider coaching. Like I was still trying to play at that time, and I was like a late bloomer. My basketball career as a player didn't really shape out as planned. I played JUCO, never really got that offer, you know what I mean? But, and then life kind of happened, right? I met my today wife. Like I moved out on my own, and I had bills. Like I'm like I can't really hoop anymore. Like I got to move on, But I always had a passion for hoops, and so when I realized I wasn't playing anymore, I went back to my high school as assistant coach, and my head coach then gave me a client for the first time, right? Like my first training client, and it was instant, man. Like it was like this is literally where I want to be, right? Like this dynamic. And so I was trying, I'm working, I'm going to school, but anytime I can get on the court to do a session, I'm doing a session, right? Anytime I could touch that court. And I started to get really good at it, like it's not something that you go and get a doctorate in, not yet at least. But I'm like, these kids are getting better. Like I'm teaching this kid that couldn't walk and chew gum how to get in a triple threat and really get busy, and it really, not only the way I felt doing it, but the results I was seeing, it made me I knew that's what I wanted. And a cool story I always share, I spoke to some interns or potential interns yesterday, and I share this story. One of my best friends, Bernie Doe, I know he's going to listen to this at some point. So Bernie, much love. I was in a crossroads when I was done playing. Like, do I want to go to school for the same thing I was going for before? Do I need to change a scenery? And we were actually on the way to a Sixers game, and he said, well, bro, if you're going to start over, what would you do for free? And I said, damn, well, train, teach kids how to play basketball, play sports. I mean, Bruce, how many people told you that you couldn't just focus on baseball when you were growing up? Man, every single authority, every teacher, you know what I mean? You can't just focus on that until you can.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's when I got into the space and started taking it serious. When I realized how good I was, when I realized how many people were calling me and asking. And then, so I got to my clientele base of 15 kids for the first time. And I'm like, yo, it's a business now. Like we're rocking. Wife gets an offer from Under Armour, and I'm like, wow, okay. Well, you are wifey. Like I want you to be wifey. I ain't letting you go. But how's this going to work? But I wasn't going to let her pass that up, you know. And I said I could do what I do anywhere. It's going to be a blow because I got to start over, but that's going to make me hungry again. That's going to make me, you know, get out on the grind, right? So things are building, right? Fast forward, like it's happening again. I got a gym now. People in B-more starting to hit me up. But it was a lot because I still had to work full time, and this was my side hustle, but I wanted it to be my full hustle, right? And so I spoke to a family from PA that I was really close with. And the dad asked me, he's like, yo, man, we fully believe that you can do this. Like, you got a gift, man, but like, who's helping you? Like, this ain't going anywhere if you don't get help, right? Yeah. I kid you not, fellas, like 2.5, 3 weeks layup line with Ben. Like, boom, and we hit it off, right? And so I always knew fundamentally, skill-wise, like I'm nice. Like, I don't work with James Harden. I don't work with these big names, not yet, you know, but it's like, I know if you put a kid in the gym with me that never touched the ball before, I know I can build him up, you know, from the ground up, which is what a lot of people can't say, you know what I mean? Or that don't really show that they can do, right? Right. James Harden doesn't need us to work him out. He really doesn't need us to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't, you know, but it's like, you know, so I really have a high confidence when it comes to building players. But what makes me really, really different? Like, what makes me different than any other trainer in Baltimore, right? And that's where Ben came in. You know what I mean? He was a mindfulness guy, free spirit, like life coach certifications and all, like really
Phil Jackson type, huh?
Really Zen master, you know what I'm saying? And that was his space. And like, he was the guy when we played that he was always like the middle ground guy, never too high, never too low. Like, he kept everybody chill, right?
Shout out Ben.
Shout out Ben, man. Ben, I love you, bro. And so, and fortunately for him, you know, or unfortunately for him, I should say, you know, he was working at Under Armour as a footwear developer at the time, and he turned 27. And at the time, I didn't know this, but you know, his father passed away, and when he turned 27, he got an inheritance. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Well, I don't need Under Armour anymore." You know, no offense to, I'm not, you know, obviously no offense to UA, but it's like, I want to do something that speaks to me. You know what I mean?
Want to do, really,
that I want to do. You know, and so. I was meeting him at Starbucks at like 6 a.m. before my work day to game plan and strategize. And bro, he literally paid me to leave my job, yo, so that we could start this thing full time. And ever since then, man, it's been, not only do I get that same feeling of like, yo, I'm really nice at teaching kids how to hoop. It's like, yo, this kid, let's talk about virtually, right? This kid, the first class, wouldn't even want to, he'd have his camera off. Don't even look, I don't want to be seen.
Right.
To on the screen, mixing it up, rocking the baby, you know what I mean? And really just showing out, man. So it's like you guys mentioned before, it's cool that they're learning through basketball, but this ain't about basketball, you know? Like, basketball is the vehicle to make it cool.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how you say that, because along the same lines, obviously little older kids, I do the same thing in the baseball world. I mentor some of these young kids. You know, me and Paulie have talked about it, and I don't ever like ask them about what they did on the field today unless they want to tell me. And so I'm more so checking with them on the mental, because just like you're saying, the sport or the action is the vehicle to get where you truly need these kids and want these kids to go. Yeah. And so it's more so about having that person that lives what they're teaching, but also can translate. Because what you just said, it's one thing to be able to do something, it's another thing to be able to teach it.
Yeah.
And so I know so many great baseball players and athletes in general that are nice at what they do, have been, will be, always can be, but they struggle with teaching.
Yep.
And so I feel like there's not a lot of us out there, because I teach softball girls, I teach baseball players, I teach all, and it's just different. You know, like you said, it just hits you and you're like, yo, I'm actually really nice about this, right?
Right.
Like, and you then learn about yourself. You get that internal gratification that somebody's actually, you know, you're trying to get them to believe in themselves. Therefore, at the end of the day, they're making you believe in yourself also.
Facts. And two,
So,
just treating it like a trade or like this is my profession. Like, right. So if I'm gonna, charge a fee, for a program or for me to train your kid, like I'm learning every day. You
mhm.
know what I mean? Like I'm not just like, and unfortunately, whether it's a barber or just a salesperson or whatever, there's a lot of people that are just cool with, hey, like pay me and I'm going to use the same clippers, and I'm not going to invest in myself, right? Like,
Yep.
but it's like, no, man, I have to, right? Like,
No, for sure.
I got to keep learning, and I'm watching. I have my own hashtag that is never. It's because it's only mine because it's so long, I guess. But it's fundamentals to highlights, right? Everybody sees LeBron pull it from back here and hammer that thing home, but they don't realize that it was a jab step that got him there, right? They don't
Yes.
realize all it was a pump fake,
Facts.
and then got to the lane, right? So it's really just like watching these things and seeing like, hey man, that's 2 times he jabbed and went baseline for a finish, right? And then showing the kids like it took him one dribble to tear the rim down. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
you're always watching, you're always learning and evolving, and but that's the stem of that moment where you're like, I'm nice, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. And like what you just said, I wanna tie this into what I'm about to ask you. You just said they see the highlight, but they don't see what got them there.
Fact.
And the process is what people miss, especially like we talked about off camera about everything being at the tip of your fingers. Everybody wants the end result now, and
Right.
they don't want to understand and
Instant
see
gratification.
what Harden and what LeBron, all those dudes did to get to where they're at. So I want to ask you, when it comes to the process with these children and these kids, good or bad, solid, indifferent, whatever it is, how do you guys go about the process of the children like receiving the importance of that journey? Like, I know they're kids. Some kids can't see it. Some kids want to do what you want to do right now.
Right.
But how do you get them to understand and appreciate that it takes time, especially with kids? Kids have no patience.
No,
So,
no, not at all, man. And that's a great question. And we have a couple things that we say. It's be where your feet are, right? Like all we have control over is this moment right here, right? You miss a shot, we can't unmiss that shot, right? You want to be LeBron James, you can't do that right now. Or you know what I mean? Like, so all we have is right now, so it's really about that presence, or what's important now is one of our skills. We tell them every example. It's like, we're, hey, brick by brick, especially if a kid that's like struggling, right? Hey,
yeah,
we're laying this thing brick by brick, right? Like if we lay a brick every day, kids, what are we going to have in a few months? A house. And it's like, LeBron is the house. Like if we lay a brick every day, we're
very
going to
large
get
house.
there. We're going to have a big, nice, sturdy house, so really, man, just it's not, again, like it's so important to meet the kids where they are, right? Like, all right, Bruce, you're a dog, man. Like this kid can do it all. Like he like he can do everything, right? So then we just turn the knob up for him a little bit, right? Paulie, you came and you never played basketball before. Short, small goals. All right, we're gonna do 1 windshield wiper in a row, 2 in a row. All right, once you get to 3 in a row, now it's going to 5. Now it's going to 10, right? And it's like just getting them in the mindset of like, yo, you're going to fail, you're going to mess up, and I hate to keep preaching here, but it's like what we tell them is there's no such thing as a mistake. It's only an opportunity to grow, right?
Yep.
And it's like once you shift that mindset, it's not failing, right? Like it's not I suck, I lost the ball. It's no, you were going hard. That's why you lost the ball, right? Like I could do this all day long. Or Bruce, if I like roll you a ground ball, like you can scoop it all day long. But if I don't rocket it at you, how are you going to grow, right? How are you going to enhance your skills without,
Exactly.
without that? So it's really, there's no such thing as failure, man. Only opportunities. And just, hey, we're setting the foundation right now, brick by brick, until we have a house. You know what I mean? And Kobe is huge too, man. It's,
Dude, he
Kobe. We
missed the
shared the
most
story
shots.
about him. Say again.
Missed the most shots in NBA history.
Yeah, and the story in his interview, and it's such a shame. Like you think about Kobe, you think about Nipsey, and it's like we don't get to like see, like at least for me, it's like I didn't see all these interviews with all these people until they were gone,
Yeah.
And but Kobe shared his summer league his summer league story when he was 11 or something like that, right? Where he went the whole summer, didn't score a point. The whole summer, didn't score 1 point. And it's like, that's Kobe Bryant, boys and girls. That's Kobe.
Right.
And look where he's at, or look where he went. You know what I mean? So it's important to share those figures with them, right? Because that's where the buy-in comes in, right? Like just like any other business, like if you get a high-level person onto your show, it's going to create buy-in from the crowd, right? So just sharing those nuggets, man, and just everybody has a story. Joel Embiid picked up a ball when he was 14. You know what I mean? Like it's just really like being present, being right here, right now, and knowing that it's going to take work, and just letting them know, man, we're here. We're not yelling at you. That's not the type of coaches we are, right? We're it's positive, and kids learn better, and the kids are more confident when it's a positive environment with music and high energy. You know what I mean? It's just it's scientifically proven.
You guys are digging deep. You guys are digging deep, and you guys are taking it step by step, and that's important with these kids. First of all, I just won my men's league. We went 8-0. So
let's go.
When you said Paulie never picked up a ball, I didn't want to interrupt, but
listen, man. Hey, just hypothetically, Paulie. Hypothetically, not.
I get a couple buckets, and you know what I'm saying. I D up. I'm mostly defensive minded, but we'll get on that.
We all need it
on that court, Ryan. Sometime we'll get on that court.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we will. I hope too.
Yeah. So, and it's what's next for us is and really for me personally, because I do know soon we're going to expand and we're going to have coaches to handle more of the local stuff. My next step for me personally is traveling with this and getting into different cities. I mean, virtually through COVID, we were able to impact youth in 17 different states, and really build those relationships. And kids are like religious coming to us, like every class or every online program they're logged in. And I always think, I'm like, man, if they loved us in front of a computer, man, like it's gonna be like Coachella when we get in person. You know what I'm saying? So Chicago, Arizona, California, like I'm really we have something here that we can do with no equipment. You know what I mean? I can show up with a microphone and a speaker and impact the whole school in an hour, So
I'm in Arizona.
Say again?
I'm in Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah. And so it's really anywhere there's kids, anywhere there's a school plug, like all it is for us is getting on a plane and making an impact. You know what I mean? So we'll definitely, we'll definitely hoop while I'm there too. But just wanted to let you know that it's just coming sooner than we think, man, for sure.
What's up, bro? I'm glad to see you grow. And that leads right into my next question too. Like, I know like the impact and the focus is kids. But the kids are the future and the adults are the now. The adults are the now that are leading the future. So, a lot of adults, especially in, minority communities and underserved communities, didn't have that confidence in that Ryan McFarland to go ahead and, give them that leeway, and that Bruce Maxwell and that Paulie Jackson and all our neighborhood heroes. But, I don't want us to forget about those adults now, right, that are learning a lot about themselves, because ultimately I'm one of those adults.
Yep.
People from the outside looking in see, me doing this and doing that, but I'm still learning so much about myself. And I think it's a great opportunity for, people like yourself and people like me and Bruce to jump in and also aid those adults in this same process, because a lot of these adults have missed this process.
100%.
They never got that confidence built up into them, and that step-by-step direction. For me, a lot of it was, I was kind of a makeshift guy. I'm the guy that's not going to study, 2 weeks before the exam, but the night before I might cram it in and still
I'm a grind 12 hours.
and I'm still might pull off a B minus or B or something. I might not get that A that I really could have, deserved if I put in that work.
Right.
But, I just make it happen. And I think, implementing that structure of how it's important to build those habits that Bruce were talking about, that jab step that gets you to that layup or that fillet.
Yeah, right.
Like, how can you also implement adults in this, and whether it be teaching them to teach their kids, or also just maybe speaking out, like you are now, what would you tell those adults that missed out on that opportunity?
Man, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I actually had it in my notes here, kind of as what led me into my career path, right into this space. And it's growing up, my dad's black, my mom's Puerto Rican, right? From Reading, PA. People from outside of Reading think it's Amish country or something, but per capita, it's one of the hardest cities in the country per capita.
Yeah.
And coming to Baltimore and, seeing like the conditions similar to what you saw, Paulie. I mean, again, while we're building this out, reflecting on, things that my parents may have said to me, or what I heard, my teammates, and had like their family dynamic and things like that. We're still in a space where it's, you're a bitch if you share how you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're soft if you cry,
Amen.
and it's like, now you couple that mindset, fellas, with some of these conditions these kids are in, right? So, all right, I can't share how I feel because that makes me a bitch. So I just internalize it. I stomach it. I'm gonna eat it. It's all good. And then this kid is eating it for 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pair that with my role model, my only real role model, because there's no Paulie, Ryan, and Bruce in my hood. The only role model is the dude with the jewelry and the new sneaks. So I'm angry. I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
I want to escape. I'm going to go that route. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's not rocket science. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think where it comes into training, teaching a man to fish, if you will, that kind of comes to our GNGX, right? And we weren't really able to do it full steam. We were actually able to do 2 of our events before COVID shut us down. And GNGX is like the ultimate community event, right? It's the give and grow experience. It's your typical basketball clinic, right? Where there's a shooting station, a rebounding station, a passing station, whatever. Except our 6 stations are our 6 mental skills, right? Be where your feet are, what's important now, next play speed, positive self-talk, I am, which is identify, accept, and manage your emotions, and positive self-talk, right? So those are the 6 skills that we got, right? And I'm sorry if I said one twice, but there's 6 of them. But each station is one of those skills, right? So these kids in their mind, they're coming and I'm here for a basketball clinic. Yo, we're about to hoop. Whoa, 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 whoa. And you are, don't get me wrong. But in our mind, you're going through a six level mental training. You know what I mean? And so what do we need for a GNGX, right? We need kids, we need coaches, and we need a DJ, right? Music, get everybody in the community hype, right? Everybody, the vibes, right? The energy's right. And then while the kids and the coaches are engaging, they're both being trained on this, right? And how it works is, all right, you got 6 hoops or however many hoops we're rocking with. All right, everybody, I'm leading this one. All right, here's the drill. Boom, 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 go. And then each group goes and does it, right? So it's like a team building basketball clinic that's also teaching these coaches how to be
Personal
where your feet
building.
are, what it means to have next play speed, right? And as I'm thinking about baseball, next play speed is the diving catch and throw to first base, right? Like
It's a
we got a
reaction.
second, you know what I mean? How, we seen MJ when they stole the ball from, or he missed a shot, ran down, stole the ball, brought the
Yeah.
ball back, hit the jumper. Like
That
that's
was the
next play
Jazz. That
speed.
was versus
I
the
guess
Jazz.
exactly right. So it's that's so huge, is to train the trainer, or how to teach a man to fish, so that this can duplicate and replicate ripple effect. And where we see ourselves, especially in Baltimore City, I mentioned those two schools that we partnered with. It's really like, hey, let's start with one school, two schools, give them everything that we got, and let word of mouth. Let's get to that third school, fourth school, because fellas, in Baltimore City elementary schools, 40% of schools don't have a PE teacher full time, right? So these kids just have zero outlet, like no physical outlet, right? So if that's going to continue to be the issue, then we're going to send Give and Grow coaches to supplement.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Like everything you just everything you just said. We're talking about mental health, the way people internalize issues. I'm a big mental health advocate. I've been through those tough places in my career as an adult. But I was also raised to eat that emotion, to eat
Right.
those thoughts. You can't talk about it because it's seen as a weakness in my household. My dad's ex-military, and so, but no, dude, I'm so glad he just asked that question, because it just speaks volumes, man. It's like what you guys do with this program and how you do it is a testament on how it used to be. Even
And
in all
that's a big
sports.
why, man. That's a
Yeah.
big why.
Well, in all sports. It's like so many people now, and this is one of the reasons why I don't do stuff in my hometown. Baseball has turned into daddy ball where I'm from. So when I was coming up, short story, when I was coming up, there was two travel ball teams in my city. It was us and there was one other team. But everybody knew us. Everybody knew how hard we worked. Everybody knew we were the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't because we boasted. It was because we outworked you.
Yeah.
But we had 6 coaches, and all of our coaches, including my father, taught us the everyday grind.
Mm-hmm.
We can't go from Monday to Friday already. Like we have to have those 3 practices. It was like go to school, come home, I practice, I go to practice, I come home, do my homework, and then I go in the backyard and practice more. My sister, she was a Division I basketball player. She was out there on a basketball court in the half court in the backyard doing the same thing I was doing when I was doing my work. And it's like, I think in our generation, for us 3, we had those old school like coaches where they were like, yo, today you were focused on right now.
Yep.
Tomorrow, we'll worry about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we still have today to worry about. And I feel like nowadays with the society and sports, how everybody just turns a TV on, they're like, I want to be like that. But there's not a whole lot of people that are going to teach them the way to try and be like that. And I feel like that's one of the things. I love coaching. I love teaching. I've never charged anybody for a lesson before. And I do it to whoever needs the help, because I love it. But I just get simple gratification when I see them get it and apply it. And it's like so many people need that. So many kids need that, whether it be in sports, whether it be in school. And that's another reason, that's another problem with our curriculum in schools. Like we talked about this a few episodes ago. There's not enough people that give the extra effort like you guys are doing with how personal you guys make these things for these kids. There's not a lot of people out there that go the extra mile to relate the curriculum to the life they're in, to meet those kids, like you said, where they're at.
Man,
it's crazy.
And it's so wild, man. And I'm trying to program myself, because so many people say, oh, Baltimore kids, right? Well, that's already putting a stamp on those kids, right? Already. So it's like, a kid from Baltimore, right? Like I'm just trying to, it's a kid first.
First
He's a
and
child.
Yeah, it's a child. Before anything, it's a
He's a
child,
child.
right? So I'm trying to like program myself to like, or reprogram myself, to say, a kid from Baltimore. But people don't realize, it's the infrastructure in our school system, right, is bottom 2 in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that, there's no funding to pay people real salaries, right? So then what do you get from that? You don't get the experienced teachers. You get, hey, I just graduated and I want to save the world, which I'm not knocking those people, right? Like, hey, you got ambitions, like you're a white girl from suburbia and you want to like really make a difference. And I commend you for that. I really appreciate that. I respect that. But you're going to an area where, one, these kids have already seen a revolving door of people just like you, right? That came, saw, and gave up, right? So that's step one. So they already don't trust you. They're already thinking, and I've heard this being like be said. We want to see how long you can last.
No, I've seen it. We've seen it.
We all know how we used to act when a substitute teacher came in, right? Like, but you're here for full time, right? So we're gonna make it hard. But then 2, it's like when that kid that has stuff going on at home, when he starts acting up, and you don't ask him what's going on, or you can't comprehend what's going on, he's a bad kid. Oh, I can't get him to sit still. I can't get him to behave because he's a bad kid. That kid is awful. But it's like, all right, well, the kid that's showing out is the kid that's crying out. You know what I mean? Like the kid that is begging you for attention is the kid that needs it. Go figure, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so, and it's just one of those things, man. It's so the infrastructure is that, an issue. There's no relatability between the kids and the person, which leads to what I said earlier is like, there's a lack of role models, man. Like there's my only role models are people that maybe I shouldn't be idolizing. Right. But then, to your point about being taught, right, the curriculum and how we're teaching these kids, it's like when I changed to sport management in college, right, that was the first time that I could be in a classroom setting and talk in discussion in a discussion setting.
Yep.
Sports. Whether it was finance, law, ethics, history. And I felt like I'm finally learning because that's the person I am, talking, like communicating, right? Yeah. So once that happened for me, I'm like, man, light bulb. Like this is how I want to learn forever. And this is how kids should learn, right? New teacher, ask them what they know. Have a kid teach you something. Hey, you want to help me teach the class? You can't
figure out what they do. Like,
right. And man,
figure out
like
their extracurriculars.
Yeah. And Bruce, Paulie, if I sat you down and said, hey man, I need you guys to sign in or show up to my office and I'm just going to talk to you for 8 hours.
Bro, I ain't coming.
Straight up. You know what I mean? And it's like, why can't they learn with a ball? Why can't they dance and learn? You know what I mean? But that's what's missing, Bruce, is that extra step. Like I could teach math and rap, but like that would mean I have to create that. That means I have to do this and that to get there. And it's like, man, learning could be and should be cool, right? Like
you preaching, bro.
Yeah,
preaching because like it's the same thing though, man. Like when I'm teaching these kids about life, like I feel like baseball is, and I tell kids this all the time and their parents too, baseball is literally the game of life. Like in all aspects of baseball, it's life. You're preparing, you're building yourself up, you're knocking yourself down, and at the end of the day, you're still going out to fail.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how can you process the best way to overcome that and to minimize it? Because like you said earlier, there's no such thing as mistakes. And I've told a few of my kids this. The only time you make a mistake or you fail is when you fail to use that happening as an opportunity to learn. I was like,
Gotcha.
if you continue making that same one, that is when failure kicks
Exactly.
in. I was like, nobody's perfect. Like we just talked about, Kobe missed the most shots in NBA history. LeBron's missed a whole hell of a lot.
Giannis can't make a free throw. You know what I'm saying?
He
Like,
still can't make a free throw.
right.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Orioles legend Adam Jones. He's like my big brother. It's my homie.
Yo.
I meant to
Shout
say that
out Adam
earlier. I forgot.
Jones.
But nah, man, yeah, and that's what it is. Like I was personally a very smart kid, and I hated school. And my mom was just like, "What's going on? Like your grades are great though. Like what's going on?" It's like it's boring as hell. I was
Right.
like, "It's you're." I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, "Our curriculum is terrible and it's outdated because all you're doing is sending kids to school to learn memorization skills."
Right.
I was like, "So you give them a book and then you give them a teacher who reads from the same book." I said, "So why do you think kids don't pay attention in class?"
Mhm.
Like, because they're like, hell, I can just look at this and know what the hell we're doing.
Right.
Like, so how, like, and when you said when it comes to the pay, you have a lot of teachers out there that bust their ass and do what they do. And I commend them wholeheartedly, wherever they are, whatever they look like, it doesn't matter. But there's also a whole hell of a lot of teachers that literally work in the amount they get paid. And I went to a huge high school. There was a lot of teachers we had that would literally just give you the notes and say, study this, remember this, we have a test tomorrow.
Yep.
And there was no explanation, there was no help, there was no, and all they would be like, hey, I have a question about number 4. Okay, go to page 32. Like that don't, and in the world we live in too, everything's visual, everything is social. Like everything we learn, like I can't tell you how much stuff I learn off the internet just in general.
Right.
Just all these things, but it's like this is the world we live in now. And so
Yep.
it's like the curriculum has to change, the mindset of teaching has to change. So programs like yours um, are huge for children because, or especially for kids, just because it gives them a different format than class.
Yep.
It gets them out of the house and active, but at the same time, you're engaging with them and showing that you give a damn
Yep.
about where they're at and where they're going. And
Yep.
the only thing kids, I feel like all the kids I've worked with, wealthy, not wealthy, privileged, not privileged, whatever, all kids want when their mindset is on something is to have somebody in their corner that sees what they're going and they're just as passionate about it. It's
Yep.
Big
huge. It's
facts.
monumental, man.
Big
And
facts. Big facts. I don't think I could honestly think of somebody in my educational life that that wasn't family or anything that I looked to and said, hey, they really, really believed in me. And as talented as I was, maybe not just like book talented, but more like, finding a way to win and charismatic. And I still fail to have that. What I was,
Feel
what
that.
I was just thinking about, what y'all just made me think about was one, Ryan, shout out to you for like talking about growing, right? Talking about growing and making it a national thing. And one, that's a great business move. Two, it's way more of an impact. And I'm pretty much an ideas guy, thought process. So what goes through my
visionary.
head, I try to funnel it in. And I think that, you know, bringing the community together as a whole, and when I mean community, I mean our national community, our world community. It kind of spins back into what I was talking about the adults earlier, funneling in those people that are looking for career paths, that are passionate, that are kids like me, or not even kids, adults like me, maybe a little bit younger, coming out of college, confused, passionate about helping, how important it is to you, and especially as a minority, to like funnel that into your program. And then my
Man,
second part of my question is, what did you learn about yourself in these past 2 years and in this process and in growing your business? I think like, the intrinsic part of everything is important to me. because it's what drives you. It's like
Absolutely.
you said, what are you gonna do for free? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Man, you guys definitely came correct with your questions, man. It's it's I where I was born and like my home life, right? I grew up in the city of Reading, and I was in sixth grade when we moved to the burbs, right? I'm the first person in my family to graduate with a bachelor's degree, right?
Okay.
My parents, blue collar, worked their tails off for us to have nice things, right? If you talk to my friends from the city, oh man, goody goody, like he got everything, like he got he has the life, you know what I mean? Because he got more than what I got. But I went to private school. My parents worked their asses off to send me to private school where I'm taking the bus and my friends are pulling up in BMWs. You know what I mean? So I'm in the middle, like y'all think I got it all, but I can guarantee you I don't got it all. You know what I mean?
I can relate.
Yeah, and so and I say that to because my home life, my dad, he's no longer here, but they loved me unconditionally, right? They took care of us. They gave us every opportunity to succeed, but I never heard that I could be anything because they never were told that they could be anything, right? My dad was the first person out of Reading, PA to have a record played nationwide, right? But he gave up because he had kids and he's like, I can't, I gotta work, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's like, no, you don't.
Chase your dream, bro.
Yeah, no, you don't. If anything, you got two reasons. Me and my brother, you got two reasons to be even more motivated, right? But that didn't live in his mind because no one ever told him, So when he passed of cancer 6-7 years ago. The intrinsic part was, hey, Dad, you're battling right now. I'm going to get my degree. Like we're in this thing together, right? And then when I lost him, it's like, man, if you would ask him today what his regret would be, I can guarantee you 1,000% that is giving up his music. 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, and I'm a goody two shoes in a lot of people's eyes, right? So how many kids in the hood are hearing that they can be whatever they want?
How many? Hell, if you didn't hear it, then they probably ain't either.
Right? Exactly. You know what I mean? And I'm going to take the time to talk about someone who I can't reach out to and find if I wanted to, because he was a product of his environment. But the best player I've ever played with, bar none. And I've played in games with the Morris twins. I've played in games with NBA guys. The best player I've ever played with, his name was Jamar Layfield. And we picked him up for a tournament one time. And I realized that he lived in a crack house with his mom, right? That kid never got a chance to even reach a fraction of his potential, right? Because of where he was at, right? And it's like, so Jamar, but then the thing that hurts me the most is that there's a billion of him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I'm doing it for the kids that were never told that they could do whatever they want, right? Like that's a big part for me. But when you mention like kids coming into college or even going into high school, even, if they're trying to figure stuff out, it's like, especially in the social media era, right? If you are good at making origami birds, like if you're that good at it, you can do that.
You
can make hella money off of that.
You know what I mean? So
I would for sure follow that account. I can't.
Yeah, facts. And it got to be sped up a little bit. It got to be sped up. But
got to be sped up.
But no, it's really like, do you want to coach? Do you want to serve youth? Which everybody wants to do that, whether it's for like event based or ongoing. Like everybody wants to give back, right? But it's like you can do that as a career. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that it's...
Man, say that again, bro.
You can, man, you can do, man, you can do whatever you want, everybody. And, It's so funny, fellas. Like like the way I would explain it to people before I knew it was an actual thing
Yeah.
is I would say every kid dreams, right? You got a kid in Baltimore City, you got a kid in Baltimore County, you got a kid in the nicest area of Arizona, right? All three of those kids at 8:30, p.m. when they lay their heads down in bed, they're dreaming about what they want, right? The problem is, and this is how I would explain it before I knew this was a thing. I'd say the kids in the hood have that dream, but there's a glass barrier in front of it. Like I see
Yep.
it, I know what that is,
But I can't
but
touch
I'll
it.
never be able to get that because it's closed, and it's glass ceiling syndrome. Like it's a
I've heard about
thing.
it.
You know what I mean? And it's like that's how I described it before I knew it was a thing. And it's like, man, these kids dream, but no one is telling them and no one is giving them the baseball bat to shatter that glass and be what they want to be, man. And so when it comes to college kids or people that want to join the team or people like, man, I really fuck with Give and Grow. Like I want to be a part of that. Like, you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? We
For sure.
filed as a nonprofit as Give and Grow Sports because we knew someday someone's going to want to teach it through baseball.
Yep.
Somebody's going to want to teach it through lacrosse. So why do just basketball, right?
Yeah.
We're legally Give and Grow Sports Inc. doing business as Give and Grow Basketball. Like that is our whole title. So anything, I mean,
that's huge. It's huge. And before you wrap this up, bro, like that glass ceiling thing is just home because I had a dad who didn't allow us to settle.
Mhm.
And so sometimes was it forced, motivation forced? Yeah, because we had no options.
Right.
But am I thankful for it? Hell yeah, because it teaches me like now that it's like, all right, this sucks, but are you going to die from it? No, then shut your ass up and get going.
And there's a purpose.
And it's
too.
yeah, it's no, I mean but that's how he was though. My dad
Right.
curses. He's ex-military. He's intense. I was afraid of him as a child, which I feel like there's a certain level that you should fear for your parents.
Yeah.
But it's like there was no option unless you were dying, physically dying. My dad never let up on us. And as an adult, that is the one thing that I am super thankful for because I don't even allow myself now to be like, oh, I'm not doing that today. Well, if you're not going to do it, then somebody else is going to do it.
Fact.
And so it's like what you guys do, man, and how you do it, it just speaks volumes into who you are, what you care about. And you're right. Mentally, you can dream and do whatever you put your mind to. But I feel like the only people that I've ever ran into that are passionate about, especially something of this level, that make it a career, are the people that actually want to do it for the people that it's affecting, not for their internal. Because at the end of the day, just like everybody else in the world we live in, at some point in time, you start wanting more.
Right.
So if your internal wants exceed you giving all you have for the receiver, then at some point in time, your compassion and your passion are going to go down. And now you're affecting the people you're working for because you're chasing something else.
Right.
And that's why I loved reading up on you guys. And I loved your video and I love the message behind what you guys do. And I'm thankful that we could get you on here because there's so many people out there that want to do something, but they don't have the right reason for doing it.
Yeah.
And it's fuck, dude. It's amazing because I do the same thing with my kids, man. Like I have kids that call me in the middle of the night. They call me at 4 a.m. They're panicking. They're having car trouble, and I have to I'm Venmoing money or whatever it is. And these are like my little brothers,
Right.
and their parents would be like, "Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "He said he couldn't get a hold of you. He was in need." But giving somebody that person that they know that is only there for their betterment is just
safety net, man.
It's huge. It's huge, bro. These kids don't ask me for nothing. whatever it is, but like it's just so commendable, and like you guys' organization is mind blowing,
Yeah,
and
it's
And
dope.
man,
it's
you won't
crazy.
find this on our website, man, but this is something that we follow, man. Our one thing is serving youth and elevating their mental and emotional health, but we operate off of
Gosh,
the be, do, have. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
sports.
If we continue to be who we are and do what we're here to do, we're gonna have everything that we want in our lives. You know what I mean? So our one thing is serving youth, and our goal is to get to 1 million kids. So everybody listening, if you want to check us out, we're at www.giveandgrowbasketball.org, or you can follow us on all social media platforms at Give and Grow Basketball. If you have kids that are grades K-8, we have free online programming. If you're a principal listening, we have virtual and in-person school-wide assemblies where we can come to you, or we can log in and give you 45 minutes of social emotional learning, which I'm proud as just to kind of revisit the schools and curriculum topic. We've been really, in May alone, we served and taught 3,000 kids with our assemblies. So for the schools out there that don't have the horsepower or the manpower to teach social emotional learning or mental health skills or gym class, whatever, highly, 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 highly recommend that you get in touch with us so we can come and give you a virtual assembly. And if you don't have funding, let us know and we will find it so that we can serve your kids. So you already know that it's time to grow. Fellas, thank you for your time. This is, any opportunity to share what we do and talk to the people that have the same heartbeat. It's just, man, this is a great way to spend a Friday night, man.
That's what I'm talking about. Enjoy your vacation, my guy. What we got, a Sixers fan?
So, man, I'll be honest. I fell in love with watching NBA when Nash was throwing lobs to Amari Stoudemire, man.
Okay,
So
you're a Suns guy.
I rock with the Suns, man.
All right.
NBA, so football wise, football is a very loyal sport, right? Like that's like the fans, like you don't get a lot of switching side fans in football as you do with basketball, right? My dad was a Marino guy, so I ended up becoming and watching the Dolphins.
Okay.
So I'm a Dolphins fan in football, and that's never going to waver. Basketball, if I'm even fortunate enough to stay up for an NBA game, man, I'm just watching players. I show love to the Suns, just because I don't switch up. You know what I mean?
East Coast is late.
Man, 10:30 start time for a game, bro. I'm like, man, I'm watching LeBron in warm-ups and then I fall asleep. So
I played in before Paulie takes us out. I played in Reading this year.
The Fighting Phils?
I played against them, yeah, because I'm with the Giants. When I had gotten traded over, we were playing them.
Bro, for a minor league, man, they get a lot of love and respect across the nation, man. They do. They got a great venue.
Especially being Philly. I mean, that's the Phillies, bro. Like
right,
they ride for the guys.
Last time I was home, man, I'm on the highway going to visit my mom. I'm like, yo, this is Reading, PA. What could the traffic be this bad for? But I think there was a couple of Phillies players, like high-level players that were rehabbing, playing. So they're like, yo, we got to go see Rio Moto or whatever. I'm not a baseball dude, sorry. Yeah. But they were like, yo, we got to come through. So, man, there was traffic like crazy in Reading, PA to go see the minor league team. So
for sure.
That's respect. I didn't even think about that, Bruce. I appreciate you bringing that up.
All right, last one. Certified Lover Boy or Donda? You going on your trip? You gotta listen to music on the plane in the port.
Man,
what you
so I appreciate that question too, man.
Reggaeton.
Yeah, man. So here's how I broke it down with my boys, right? So I gave Donda a spin and a couple spins. It's 1.5 spin. That's a long album, but and I definitely rock with it. You know what I mean? But I think that CLB, I think that needed to be that really needed to drop like late May, June to set the tone for the summer, right? Like I get summer vibes listening to it, and I'm like, man, it's about to be fall, man. Yeah, but so definitely gonna be mixing them both in there. But I gotta go for the trip. I gotta go certified lover boy, man. I gotta rock.
All right. Feel it
No
out,
disrespect to
man.
Ye, man. I a huge Kanye fan. Like, you know, you see memes sometimes where it's like, man, if you had a gun to your head and had to, you know, rehearse or recite word for word this song or that song, like I got like probably like a dozen Kanye songs where I ain't missing a verse or a word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chi-Town. You know, I gotta show love to my Chi-Town boys,
Absolutely,
but
man. Absolutely.
Drake did come through. Ryan McFarland, I appreciate you coming through. Me and Bruce really enjoyed
appreciate you,
talking to you,
brother.
bro. I mean, you hit Bruce home a couple times. I saw how he stepped back in his chair a little bit.
Love it, man.
But
It's
all my
just real,
listeners,
man. It's just
viewers,
love.
all the listeners, viewers, man, thank y'all for watching the Backstop. We'll catch you next time. Shout out to the boys. Nothing but love, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.